Just for anyone watching, I just want to really kind of just draw this in. The fact that, so you launch your first product, within the first 30 days of selling, you made at 35% margin, that's, you know, close to £10,000 in profit in your first month selling without any PPC running.
Yes.
I've got to say congratulations, because that's just incredible. So yeah, no, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. That's amazing.
I have no expectations that like it's going to be like that, right?
Yeah. What's going on, guys? So in this video, I'm going to be interviewing one of my Amazon Brand Academy students, Narinjarit, about his journey selling on Amazon over the last 18 months. Now, before we jump into the full interview, I just want to give you a brief overview of Narinjarit's journey so far. So Narinjarit was actually one of the first 10 people to join the Amazon Brand Academy when it was originally launched in summer 2020. And then after a few months of us working together one-on-one and developing his product idea, he was actually able to place his first order a few months later in August 2020. And I actually did a little bit of digging and I managed to find his first Facebook post in our private mastermind community. You can see here, Narinjarit says, "Hi all, still getting used to the world of Facebook, but very happy to be part of this journey with everyone. Looking forward to hearing some of your great stories. Me and my wife are about to place our first order right now. The course was really thorough and comprehensive. Thanks, Luca." So that was awesome to be able to find his first post from a couple of years ago. Narinjarit then went on to launch his first private label product later that year in December 2020, and actually ended up joining the 10K club in under 30 days of selling. So you can see here from this screenshot that within the first 15 days of selling, Narinjarit had generated around 14K in sales, even having some days where he was selling over £1,000 in single days. He actually ended up generating £10,000 in profit in his first 30 days of selling, which is amazing. You can see this awesome picture of him with his 10K award. He then joined the 100K club 11 months later in November 2021, so just under 12 months of actively selling. And you can see his numbers here and also his post inside the Facebook group, and then also a really nice picture of Narinjarit with his 100K award. And I also managed to dig out the Facebook post that Narinjarit posted in our private mastermind group when he hit that 100K number. Narinjarit said, "May this keep you all motivated and intensely focused. Yes, it is possible, and if I can do it, so can you. We've just hit 100K in sales on Amazon in less than 12 months. A huge thank you to Luca Davenport." And what I love about this post is that Narinjarit says, yes, it is possible, and if I can do it, so can you. And that is so true. Narinjarit now sells 3 products on Amazon with plans to expand his product range. And at the time of recording this interview, he's now generated just under £200,000 on Amazon with those 3 products at somewhere between a 25 to 35% profit margin, which is incredible. Now, before we jump into the full interview, if you're interested in getting started with Amazon FBA and you want to see results like these, then I'd highly recommend checking out my full training program, the Amazon Brand Academy. I'll put a link in the description and in the comments below. So without further ado, let's get straight into the full interview. Hey Narinjarit, so thank you for joining the call. So for any of you guys watching, I would have just given a brief introduction to an overview of Narinjarit's journey, but what I want to do in this call, and I've actually been really excited about this, is just to go back to the very beginning of your journey and just work our way through, basically, just discussing your journey, the highs and lows, and just everything that's happened along the way. So thank you for giving me some of your time. I really appreciate that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah, okay. Excited. I've been looking forward to it.
I know, we've been trying to organise this for a while, so I'm glad we've actually managed to find a time that works. Awesome. Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning. So what were you doing before you heard about Amazon FBA? What were you doing for work, and give it a little introduction to yourself?
Yeah, so a number of things. I guess I've always been a bit of an entrepreneur. I trained as a pharmacist, so I went to university, did my 4 years, my registration training, qualified back in 2005. And over the years, as I've kind of got involved in more and more things like rental portfolio, and set up like a new build development company, I've kind of been cutting down my work in pharmacy. So it was kind of, there was 3 income streams, I guess. It was pharmacy, development of properties, and rental. Okay. And it was actually in lockdown that I really saw the advantages of e-commerce. It was we had just gone into lockdown, and we were doing a development in Wolverhampton, and it was funny because one of the guys on the building site just turned around and said, "Oh, can you get hold of any fence paint?" And it was quite funny, right? Because everything was closed. You couldn't go into B&Q or any of the other hardware stores. But because we had trade accounts with builders merchants, I just thought, well, I'll help this guy out. So I got him a can of paint, and he was really grateful. And then all of a sudden, all his mates were approaching me on the building site saying, "Oh, can you get me some? Can you get me some?" So it was really funny. And I think I realized then, well, hold on, if these guys can't get hold of paint, maybe the rest of the country can't. So that was it. Like I ordered a pallet of paint from my suppliers.
So at that point,
Yeah.
had you seen much about selling on Amazon, or did you buy that pallet just to sell on to
No,
other
no,
people? What was the plan with that pallet
absolutely.
at that point?
I had no idea. I started off on eBay actually.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was funny. And I remember I was on a bike ride, and got the first notification while I was on the bike, and I thought, this is good. 10 minutes into the ride, like the phone just started pinging like crazy. And
It's
I
a
just
good
thought,
feeling when you
wow,
first
like,
start to see those first sales coming in.
it was really funny, right? So like came home and I thought that, like, why not try Amazon, right? So looked into Amazon, set up like just a personal account. It wasn't a business seller account. Gave it a go, and I couldn't believe the difference. Like it was more or less four times the volume of sales
Yeah.
coming through. It was obviously I timed it perfectly because not everyone else had realized at that time. Um, and then it was like it was all merchant fulfilled, right? So I was like working on the building site, working in the pharmacy, having to come home at like 10 p.m. every day and
And you were shipping them
process.
all out. Oh God.
I was processing like 20, 30, sometimes 50 orders, right?
Wow.
So I was like up till 1, 2 in the morning. And the thing was, it was such a good profit margin that I couldn't help myself. I just had to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was like a one hit wonder, right? Like it was very seasonal. I think in 6 weeks there was over £30,000 of revenue
It's
generated, and
incredible.
that was off FBA, right? It was
Yeah.
it was just
So
great
you
timing.
that whole 30,000 in revenue, you shipped that all out yourself from your house, or?
Yes. Oh yeah. I've got pictures, and my wife was helping. My son was like getting involved. I was like going through ink like crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, so you set up your Seller Central account. You had that first success with that kind of first paint. Did you continue to sell that paint, or did that kind of tail
um,
off? And
no, very quickly. So I think that started in May 2020.
okay,
So that was like the start of lockdown. By July, there were sellers popping up
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
So
yeah,
everyone had jumped on the bandwagon, and I noticed, like, my profit margins had gone from like 40% down to about 15. So I quickly realized that, okay, and the season was coming to an end,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I think we were also relaxing some of the COVID rules towards the end of August,
So
and the
shops
hardware
started
stores
opening.
had,
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's right, they had
yeah.
procedures in place for people to buy. But the good thing was it was like a very good income stream.
Yeah.
It was disposable income, which I didn't even know that I was going to make that year. So
Yeah.
at the end of it, when I decided to kind of wind all that up, I had a good cash injection, and I thought, what am I going to do with this? And straight away, I thought, well, Amazon's been so good. I need to see what other opportunities there are here.
So is that how then you start looking on YouTube, or is that how then you kind of got introduced to the idea of starting a private label business?
It was YouTube, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
started doing a lot of geeking on YouTube. Found a lot of people offering courses,
Yeah, I think that's how
and
everyone starts. You get into this kind of YouTube tunnel, you get that kind of Amazon bug where you get really into it and start
yeah,
researching
that's right.
things. Yeah,
There is a lot out there. There's a lot of
yeah.
people out there. I nearly signed up with this lady based who was selling in America. Even got to the point of like doing a brief interview with one of her coaches, but I just found they were too big. Like they had over
Yeah.
4,000 people on their group, and I just thought, like, no, I want to keep looking. And I was so glad I did, because you had launched, it was like that 2 hour tutorial on
Yeah,
YouTube. And I
yeah,
think it
yeah,
was very shortly after. And what I found with the ABA tutorial is it was so comprehensive compared to all the others. It was like they would always withhold information, kind of keeping you on, dangling the carrot so you'd
yeah,
then follow through. And it almost felt like, until I signed up, I wouldn't get like all the gold information.
yeah.
But with ABA, I just found it so informative, probably the best I saw out there. Um,
Amazing.
and I did, like I said, I looked at a lot of different coaches.
Yeah.
So, but ABA was definitely for me.
Well, I'm glad you joined because it's been great working
Yeah,
with you. It's been awesome,
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah.
no,
Did you
we've
say I
worked together
was
quite a lot.
was I your first student or something?
You were definitely one of the first. So I was having
Oh,
a
right,
look
okay.
back, and I don't think you were the first, but it was.
Oh,
So
okay.
the ABA. So I think you joined in. So you said you started kind of selling the paint in May. I think you then joined
Mm,
in June. I think I looked and it was June 2020.
June.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, you were what? I think we launched maybe. I think we launched in May. So it was probably like the
Okay.
first or
Yeah,
second
yeah.
month. So one of the first few people to join it, which is awesome. Because I remember for the first 10, I gave away some one-on-one coaching calls, and we had a
That's right.
one-on-one call
Yeah, yeah.
before
We
you
did.
launched your product, and that was for only the first 10 people. So you were one of the first 10, which is
Right. I
awesome.
got it.
Okay,
Okay.
so I think that's really important as well to talk about is that the difference between so what you're doing with the paint is FBA, what we call kind of Amazon FBA wholesale model, where you sell
Hmm.
on an existing listing, and then what you moved into was then private labeling. And one of
Yes.
wholesales are really kind of the barrier to entry is really low, so it's really easy to get started. But often one of the issues is the profit margins are quite low because, as you mentioned, anyone can sell on that listing, and that really just kind of pushes the price
Yep.
down. So
Yep.
for you, was that kind of the reason why you wanted to move into doing private label? Is that
Yeah.
kind of
It
because
was.
of
It was
yeah,
just way too competitive. You
yeah,
had people who were probably making a pound on each sale, or even
yeah,
50p. And I could see, like, because you can check their stores out, right? And these were
yeah,
big players
yeah,
who were selling so many products. So for them, it was more a case of just another product
yeah,
alongside their whatever 100 products they were already doing, right?
yeah,
So it's just a bit of extra money. But for me, as a sole trader at the time, it just didn't make sense. And
yeah,
because I had seen how lucrative and how big profit margins could be, and then after doing the research into FBA, it totally made sense. And I think the other thing was um, just having that real sense of like, this is my brand, and you
yeah,
really own it, and it's very personal and unique. I like the
100%.
sound of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what draws. For me, that was the same thing as well. I think that's what draws a lot of people to it is the fact that you can have that creativity. You can create something from start to finish that's actually yours. And when people are buying it, they're not just buying someone else's product. They're actually buying a product that you've developed and created, and that's an amazing feeling.
It is, and I think from what I learned, like Amazon really focuses on the customer experience.
Yeah,
So I wanted to make sure I was kind of in parallel with that, and making people feel like they were really buying into not just the product but the brand as well, and getting that personal service was really important to me.
nice, awesome. Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's then talk. So you joined the training program in June 2020.
Yeah.
Then you worked your way through it. Do you remember how long it was for you before you kind of found that first product?
I sped through the program, like, because we had a lot of time, right? It was
Yeah, of
We
course.
were
I
in
mean,
lockdown.
yeah, it was the perfect
Luckily,
time.
luckily I still went out to work, so I guess I didn't feel so enclosed and get
Yeah.
cabin fever or anything like that. But aside of work, there wasn't much else going on,
Where did you
so
find
I
the
had a
time?
lot of time.
Were you just doing it in the evening,
Um,
weekends, or because if you were still
in
working?
in the evenings, and actually even while I was at work, because there were periods where it was just so
Yeah.
quiet. So I
Yeah.
had, I'd just in my break, in half an hour break, just quickly sneak through another module if I
Yeah.
could,
Yeah.
and make loads of notes. I think I was really motivated,
Yeah.
especially after that was my first kind of experience
100%.
of e-commerce. So I think by the end of July, I had started product research. By September, I was ready to place an order. So
Yeah.
it took about 6 weeks of product research.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Had you found
Yeah,
a
what
manufacturer at that point as well after 6 weeks, or?
well, what I found was in when I'd started the product research, there was still like the rest of the modules to do,
Yeah.
but I kind of started it at the same time. After 6 weeks, I had placed my orders for samples, and those came at the beginning of September. And it was, I actually then wanted a repeat sample made because the one I chose, I liked. It was really good. I ordered some of the competitor products, had a look at them, and there was some changes I wanted making. But I think I did a really good thing. I didn't just go and place the order and ask them to make the changes. I actually said, no, I want the sample remade.
Yeah.
I was really glad I did that because it kind of ironed out and made sure I was totally happy with the quality of the product and it met our requirements.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I always say this, it's when you're going through a manufacturing process, and I want to talk about that a bit more in a sec, but it's really important to take your time and make sure that everything's right from the beginning, because if it's not, and you have issues with the product, you get lots of bad reviews, then that can lead to real problems. So it's important to really take your time at the beginning. I think a lot of people rush into it, but it's really important to take your time at the beginning.
I couldn't agree more. It's so, the thing is, once you've done the course, you're itching, right, to get something out there. 100%. You just want to do it.
You need to just slow down, take a breath, and take your time.
There's delayed gratification, right? You really got to cultivate that in any business. It's almost like speculating to accumulate, and you've got to be patient and wait for the returns and understand that actually this isn't going to make me a millionaire overnight or even in 6 months. I guess I had that business background beforehand to understand how important it was to make sure I was very, very satisfied with the end product.
Yeah, 100%. I think unfortunately in the Amazon space and a lot of the kind of business space, online business space, there's a lot of people who kind of hype things up and talk about people becoming millionaires overnight, and unfortunately that kind of leads to a mindset when people get started that they just want to rush into things, they want everything all to happen at once, and it's just not like that. Amazon is an amazing business model. It can be really passive, it can bring you in a really good income, but it's not going to happen overnight and it's not going to make you a million overnight. You just need to you need to take the time for it. So I think that's good advice.
That's definitely my experience as well.
Okay, awesome. So you found the product. When you were looking for the product, do you remember what kind of criteria you were looking for at that time? Like, what was it about that product that you were like, I mean, obviously this is going back a couple of years, but do you remember what it was about that product when you thought, okay, this is the one?
Do you know, I wasn't even looking in this niche.
Yeah.
I remember going out to B&Q because I thought, well, paint did really well. Maybe there's something else, right?
Niche. Yeah.
So walking down the aisles of B&Q, I had a Stacks account. I went down Stacks and came home with a load of items, which I thought, those could do well. And we ended up with a product that I actually just stumbled across. So it was really interesting. I remember just doing random searches on Amazon. It's in the baby niche, our product. It come up and I just spoke to my wife and said, well, what do you think about this? And she said, oh, that's really cute. That's nice. So she was really motivated from that aspect, right? Thinking, I could get really inspired and motivated.
Having a passion about the product could really help.
That's right. So, already had Helium 10 running and God knows how many products I was filtering. Looked at this one and I guess I wasn't even that excited about it when I found it. My wife was more motivated. But when we did went through Helium 10 and checked the sales velocity and had a look at competition, it was like, actually, I could get into this, So, and it was like I said, just more or less stumbled across it.
Yeah, awesome. Because I remember after you found that product, that's when we had our one-to-one call and we had a little look at it together. And for me, it matched up with all the criteria that I recommend through the whole training program. The demand was there. The competition wasn't too strong, and there was clear kind of gaps in the market to create something a bit different, a kind of better product offer, and that's exactly what you went on to do. So awesome. I mean, without, obviously we're not going to talk about any specifics with your product, but for you, do you remember kind of seeing gaps in the market and thinking, oh, I can do something different here, or did that kind of come later? Or?
There was a lot of gaps in areas which didn't meet the FBA criteria that I found, and it was like expensive, heavy, bulky items, which I just thought too risky, and I was determined to just stick to the course, and I think that's another problem people can come across where they find a product and it might look good, but you've really got to drill down and look at the returns. You've got to check your spreadsheets again and again and again. When you think you've got it right, sleep on it and wake up and check again.
Yeah,
So
100%.
there
Take your
was
time
other
again.
opportunities. What I didn't get was I didn't build up like a pipeline of other products that I could then think about in the future. But there was enough gap in this niche to develop similar products within the niche,
Yeah,
which was
totally.
good. It made sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was definitely a market where there was room to create different designs and different products
Yeah,
with the same kind of targeting, the same keywords, which is awesome.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I think the baby niche is one of the biggest niches.
yeah,
Right, you've got home and kitchen and babies right up there as well.
yeah. I think interesting a lot of the time when it comes to when it comes to things that adults use, they're not always seen as essential products. Like like a lot of essential products, a lot of essential products could be seen as luxury products. But when it comes to baby items, people are willing to always spend much more on their children than they are on themselves. So pretty
Yeah,
much
yeah,
most baby products. I would deem as essential products, even though they may seem luxury products. People are always willing to spend their money on their children
yeah.
and pets as well. So those are two great
Yeah,
niches to look at.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, since over the last 2 years, I've come to know a few other sellers, and it's interesting, like what they're doing. Some people are selling. I didn't even know this was a thing, but you can get stone pizza trays, right, to
yeah,
create a stone baked pizza at home.
yeah,
And I just thought, wow, like, could that even be a product? And like,
yeah.
how would you make that individualized? But there's always things you can add on.
That's the thing. There's always ways, and they might not always become apparent at first, and
Yeah,
that's why.
yeah.
So in the training program, I have that the WWW customer model, which is just a way to kind of map out who your
Hmm.
customer is and try and really understand who they are, and that's kind of the best way. If you can get yourself into the customer's shoes, you can then really start to think of ways
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
can change a product, individualize product, and create a better product offer than your competitors. So did you use
That
that at all?
I did, and what I did was because we've got quite a big family and a lot of friends, I actually got them involved. So once I got the sample,
Perfect.
well, couldn't actually go and visit, but
Yeah.
I'd send them the product and say, right, I want you to look at this product and scrutinize it and tell me what's good, what's bad,
Yeah.
what could be improved. So I really used my friends and family circles to help refine the
Yeah.
product and make sure it was meeting the needs of the customer. And luckily, I had friends who had babies. There was a girl at work who had her baby was like at the perfect age for
Yeah.
the product. So she really helped as well.
Yeah, I think if you can get as many viewpoints as possible, then other people are going to see little things that you don't catch, and
Yeah, yeah,
that's a great bit of advice, I think. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's talk about the kind of development process. So you mentioned that you found a manufacturer, you weren't happy with the first samples, so you asked them to kind of make some adjustments to the product, or what was the kind
yeah.
of
That's right.
process there? Yeah,
Yeah, so they had done a good job. I wasn't quite happy with the quality of the finish, and that became apparent when I ordered. I think it was three or four competitors ordered their products in and had a look at the finish, and one of them was a very strong seller, had been selling on Amazon for a long time. So they obviously over the years had refined their product
yeah,
and made it the best it could be. Um, the manufacturer was very willing, I've got to say,
that's
very
great.
cooperative, because I'd already told them what kind of order quantities we were thinking of, so they really wanted to impress,
Yeah,
and I have been very happy with Alibaba and finding the supplier through there. They were listening, they would ask questions, they would even give suggestions, which I found was really useful.
nice.
So willing to work with me. I then they didn't even charge me for the remake, which was really good. Got it sent out, and we then found that most of the kind of tick list, if you like, that we wanted to get corrected was corrected. There was only one thing which I think we didn't go for in the end, but that was just because it was increasing the cost of
Fair enough.
the unit.
Yeah,
So I didn't want to push it too far. I wanted to try and maintain my profit margin,
yeah.
and it turned out perfect.
Perfect. I mean, I just want to butt in there because I think there's a really kind of golden nugget of advice there. Is that if when you're going into negotiation with manufacturers, if you can get a manufacturer to want to work with you, and there's techniques to do that, then it's going to make things so much easier. You know, if a manufacturer is not particularly bothered and you're trying to continuously convince them to work with you, they're not going to do things like, you know, kind of redesign the product slightly for free. They just won't do those things. And one of the best ways to do that is to give them future projections of what you think your sales are going to be, and if those numbers are attractive to them, that's one of the best ways to get them to want to work for you, and it makes the whole process so much easier.
Yeah, and I did find there was so many manufacturers. It was almost like the first question is, well, how many are you thinking of ordering?
Yeah.
And I was just put off by that straight away. That's not the first question. If you want to build a good relationship, it's not the first question you ask your client.
And I think vice versa, when you're getting in contact with a manufacturer, the first thing, you don't want to go in and asking what's the price, because for them it's the exact same feeling. They know that that's all you care about. You know, you need to build that rapport first, because you want them to know that you care about the product and quality is important to you. You know, it's a two-way street, just like you mentioned.
Yeah, well, your template really helped with that. I think I certainly used it, and it was kind of on the back of that they kind of responded to all the points on the template, and that was the kind of starting point for us to move ahead together.
Perfect. Cool. So then you went in to place your first order. Two questions. So you mentioned profit margins. What were your profit margins that you're going for when you're working out your target cost per unit? What was the profit margins you were aiming for at that point? And then also, what was the kind of size of your first order, if you remember?
So yeah, I do. So profit margins, it was after our one-to-one. I was aiming between 30 and 40%. Most of the trainings were kind of saying 30%, but you made a good point that, like, when you factor in PPC spend, always try and get, over 30. If you can get to 40, 100%. Perfect. So that was my target. And the first order quantity, I had 6 color variations, and they had a minimum order quantity of 500. I had the cash, right? I had the revenue to be able to place 200 of each color. So it was 1,200 units.
And you used, so this is what I think is awesome about your whole story as well, is that you did it. It's not that you saved up the money, previously. You made that, kind of had that first success with the paint where you did the 30,000 revenue, and then the profit from that, which I think, if I remember correctly, it was
about 10 grand. Yeah,
I remember you mentioning. So then you use that to then buy this first product, which is awesome.
Reinvesting the profits. That's right.
Yeah, amazing.
It was, I always say this to people: to set up my e-commerce business cost me 5 cans of paint, right? at like £9.99, right? So it was what 50-60 pounds. That's where it all started from.
What I love about that is also I also had I did an interview with another student a few weeks ago, and he had a very similar situation where he didn't have the money to start up, and he managed to get a startup loan, and then you managed to start up by doing Amazon FBA wholesale. And I think what's cool about those stories is that a lot of people want to get started, but they don't necessarily have the money. But there are options. There's other things that you can do. You can you can get government startup loans. You can start off with wholesale Amazon FBA, which requires less funds, and you can slowly build your way up. So I love that.
Yeah, that's a fantastic story. It was Michael, wasn't it? Yeah. How amazing! When I saw the headline, I thought, wow.
Yeah.
So that's amazing, and so this was just I guess similar in a different way, where it was very disposable money, right? Like £50 for 5 cans of paint is very affordable.
Yeah.
And I think if you're an entrepreneur, you've really you can't take no for an answer. You have to find a way, right?
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Okay, so let's do a quick recap. So you joined the course in June 2022, then August, September, so about kind of 3 or 4 months later, you placed your first order. And then in December 2020, so 6 months after joining the training program, you then launched your first product. Did that kind of 6 months in your head when you first got started, was that kind of quicker or shorter than you expected? What were your kind of expectations?
There was times where it felt like it was dragging. I had a target. I wanted my product out before Christmas.
Okay, well, you did it.
I did. It didn't look like it was going to happen because of shipping delays. But it did happen. So it was totally worth it for me. It was worth the long hours. they're staying up till 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
selling, packaging the paint, but I'm still trying to keep up to date and keep the
Yeah.
course going and do the modules because there was a crossover between them. So I guess I was so busy. And they always say like time flies when you're busy, right? So the time period really did feel like it was more like half the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can really imagine. And I want to go back to this, but okay, so now that your business is running, and we'll come back to this later, but now that your business is running, how long would you say you spend per week kind of running your business now, the Amazon business?
Oh well, so right, I've got to confess. So wife's had a baby back in March, and we were coming to the end of one of our projects, new build projects. So this year, I have not spent much time at all on my Amazon business, right from January up to now. So in March, baby was born. I really wanted to get these properties finished by June because my wife's family was coming to visit, and I wanted to take that time because there was a lot of sacrifices made,
100%.
So in the last 6 months, gosh, maybe 20 minutes a day, just checking my listings and making sure everything's good, right?
Yeah.
Before
100%.
that, I would say once the wheels were in motion, before that, maybe you could say about 10 hours a week. So like, and there was times where it was more intense because I wanted to build up a social media presence and work with a photographer and get somebody contracted to help me with that. So there's been little periods of intense moments where I'm trying to kind of add more branches to the business. But other than that, I'd say, on average, about 2 hours a day when I've been very active.
You know what I think is amazing about that, though, is that for the last 6 months, your business has been running and it's been bringing in income. And we'll talk about how much and stuff later. But you've managed to just spend 20 minutes a day. But what I think is amazing is the fact that this is what people need to understand. It's a very passive business model once everything's set up, and you can spend 20 minutes a day running it, but you need to put in that upfront work. And like you said, you made sacrifices, you put in that upfront work, and then now you can spend less time on it and enjoy and reap the rewards.
It's an amazing feeling, right? I feel guilty in some respects that like I'm not spending the time on my business. But it's still bringing, like every 2 weeks I get that payment from Amazon, and it's like, whoa, like look at this.
I think that's really it's an interesting human psychology thing, isn't it? That even though the business is still running and doing well, you still feel guilty. It's like almost like it's bred into us that we have to be doing a certain amount of work, but the business is still doing well. But you have that kind of internal guilt.
And I think because like you're the director of your company, and you know the hard work that's gone in to get it to where it is. So naturally there's that pull towards to think like this is my baby, and I want to keep it healthy.
100%. Okay, cool. So let's just go back a step and talk about the launch process. So you're at this stage where your products have arrived. This was in December, so you hit your target of getting them into Amazon just before Christmas, which is awesome. Congratulations for that. And then, talk me through the launch process. What did you kind of do to set up? Did you have a pricing strategy? Just talk me through kind of what you did for the launch.
I followed the course, and that was just price it just below the competitors. The listing wise, got all my pictures ready, and that was something I was continually working on because it takes time to get like your trademark and everything set up. Got the listings going, used all the help and advice and guidance on the course to really develop the product description, get the bullet points right, and my wife really helped with that. She did a great job really of making sure all the keywords and everything were showing up and included. And I really think like it's thanks to her hard work on that side that immediately, like within 3 days, the product was on page one. I had no PPC spend.
I remember us speaking about this, and this is just incredible. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so I always thought I'm not going to do any PPC spend immediately because I wanted to get the product up and then spend some time refining the listing and gathering the data.
But then it just took off.
It was shocking. It was almost like the paint, right? Like I didn't know what hit me, and the great thing was I wasn't having to spend 3, 4 hours a day like packaging and printing labels and
Yeah.
going to the post office, right? So that was unbelievable. I
So were
guess
you
we were
doing
really
any were
lucky.
you doing any advertising at that point? Were you doing anything on Facebook? You just
Nothing.
put your stock
Oh, I
arrived,
did.
your listing went live, and then it
I
just started selling.
did. I did an initial like £100 spend on Facebook.
Yeah.
Kind of making it very Christmassy, just to try and get it off the ground. But what I didn't do was any PPC spend,
Yeah.
because I didn't want to, until I was happy with
Yeah.
the final sort of listing and description, bullet points, everything. And the great thing was, it's almost like I didn't need to in the end.
Yeah.
It took off really well.
That's
Like,
incredible. So within
yeah,
3 days, you were on the first page for
within
a bunch
three
of your
days
key
on the
main
first
keywords.
page, and we had gone into double figures on
Yeah,
sales.
yeah, that's incredible. And you know what? So at the time, I thought about this because every product's different. Some products need a lot more Amazon PPC to get that kind of initial exposure. Some products just take off. And okay, none of us know the exact Amazon algorithm, so I think it's impossible to kind of work out exactly why. But my theory with your product was that, without giving anything away about it, is at the time the products that were offered were all very similar. The product offers there were all just
Yeah,
all really similar, and you came along and you did something different. You offered an improved bundle at
yeah,
at the same price as what other people were doing, and the kind of product offer was so much more desirable than everything out there that people were finding you even when you weren't on the first page at the beginning, and Amazon saw that super
yeah,
high conversion rate, and your product just took off. And I think that's the importance of creating a more desirable product offer than your competitors. If you can
yes,
nail
yeah,
that, your product will do well.
yeah. I couldn't agree more. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was nothing like it.
yeah, there wasn't.
And it almost didn't make sense to me, because I was thinking, why hasn't somebody done this already?
Yeah,
I thought, like, am I doing the right thing here?
yeah,
But it really helped after getting some feedback from you.
yeah,
It gave me the confidence to go ahead with it.
yeah. Amazing. Well,
And
I'm
it
glad I
was
helped.
it was it was such a simple addition to the
Yeah,
product,
yeah, and
right? It
it
was just
often is.
one
Yeah,
extra item.
yeah, yeah. But I remember on our call, I remember when you mentioned that's what you were doing. I thought straight away, I had the exact same thought as you. I thought, wow, that is why is no one else doing that? It's just
Yeah,
perfect. It
yeah.
makes complete sense. Yeah. So
And
love that.
well, I think the lesson here is that there is always something you can be doing,
Yeah.
and there's still so much opportunity out there,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
I mean, we're at a stage now where we're thinking, okay, where are we going to go from here? I need to kind of re-engage with the business a lot more, now that we're kind of over that initial period. Baby's a lot more settled. We've got a routine. This project's finished, and we have another project starting. And before that project starts, I really want to come back to Amazon and
Yeah.
spend some time, like really kind of supporting them, and really going into second or third gear now.
Yeah, well, let's come back to that because I want to end an interview talking about kind of where you want to take things. So let's put a
Okay.
pin in that
Yeah,
and we'll come
sure.
back to it.
Okay.
So then, okay, so it kind of took off, and then do you remember? So I assume because you weren't running any PPC, were you profitable at the beginning? Was your price point
Oh,
profitable?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. We were making real good returns.
yeah,
We were at about 35% in the end.
that's incredible.
Yeah, yeah, it was really good. There wasn't as many competitors. So I was then able, we ran out of stock, which really hurts. I realized so the product arrived, I'm sure, on the 4th of December. It had been processed by Amazon by the 15th of December. And by the 30th of December, I had to place my next order.
Wow,
Yeah, within
wow,
2.5 weeks, 3 weeks,
that's
I
incredible.
realized I had to place the next order. We
And it was
ran
a
out of
quite a
stock.
sizable order. It was an order of
It was
1,200 units.
1,200
So
units,
yeah,
right?
that's incredible.
And by the end of January, we'd run out of stock.
Yeah,
So I had placed that order. It was like a 40-day lead time for it to be manufactured. They had managed to get it done by the 30th of January, but I think it was like the first or second day of February we had run out of stock.
that's incredible.
And my next shipment was kind of nearly at the stage of being shipped at
Yeah.
that point. So that was really inspiring, really motivating, and at the same time really depressing.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. Okay, so Then your first month, do you remember how much, well, in the first 30 days, so obviously you're selling really well, and then you end up going out of stock. Do you remember how much you turned over in that first 30 days?
I do remember it was just short of £27,000.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah,
27,000. So I actually thought
yeah,
it was low.
yeah,
I thought it was about 20. So 27, that's incredible. At a
yeah. I think
35%
it.
profit margin, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
It was.
incredible.
I think it was 20 up to the end of December. But if you count the actual 30-day period, it was more like 27.
That's incredible. That's really really good for your first month, because a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
was. We
products
were.
aren't profitable, even make a loss. In the course I talk about having a small launch budget just in case you make a loss for the first month. So that's just incredible performance. I'm sure you were
It
pretty over the
really
moon at the
was.
time.
It surpassed my expectations a thousandfold because I
Yeah,
was totally prepared to like spend 3 months or 6 months getting this
can
product to where I
yeah,
wanted it.
100%.
So I was just so lucky.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
really hit the iron while it was hot.
Yeah. Do you think that, so obviously then you went out of stock, do you think that that had an impact? So obviously, when products are really successful like that and they take off, that's amazing. But then the downside is you have a bit of period where you're out of stock. Do you remember how long you were out of stock for then before
Yeah,
your new stock
yeah. It
arrived?
was about 6 weeks.
Okay.
It was
And
about 6 weeks. It was a hard period to go through because I was still keeping an eye on the niche, right, and the
yeah,
sales and what was going on, and it was almost like, oh, I'm really missing
missing
out
out.
here,
Yeah, yeah,
And when you've had such a great success,
yeah,
gosh, to then deal with a loss like that is
100%.
takes a bit of grit, yeah, and a bit of like just thinking more long term. And I had to keep reminding myself that look, things you've got a great product. You're not going to get another 10, 15 competitors overnight. Just keep your head down and keep going.
I think in those situations, as humans, we always kind of default to the worst possible case scenario, and that always happens. You start to think about,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
God, I'm missing out. What's going to happen? And then it's never really as bad in reality. But did you notice that had any impact? So when you came back into stock, did you notice that had any impact on your ranking, or did everything kind of take off in a similar kind of manner?
So I took your advice. I paused the listings, which kind of maintains the ranking to a
Yeah.
certain degree. At that point, I thought, okay, now I'm going to have to spend some PPC, right, to get this product to where it was. I did the same thing. By that time, I had the listings where I wanted them. So I did the same thing. Got the units back into Amazon, and just waited a few days just to see what would happen with sales. And what do you know? Like again, like within, it took a little bit longer because it wasn't peak season then. Took maybe 3-4 weeks, but the product was back where it was,
That's incredible.
selling really well again.
Yeah.
So what I decided at that point was to focus on developing the niche further.
Yeah. Amazing.
So like still didn't spend on PPC.
Yeah, yeah. I think just for anyone watching, I just want to really kind of just draw this in, the fact that, so you launch your first product within the first 30 days of selling, you made at a 35% margin, that's close to £10,000 in
Yeah,
profit in your
yeah,
first
yeah.
month selling without any PPC running.
Yes.
I've got to say congratulations, because that's just incredible. So yeah, no, well
Yeah,
done, well
yeah,
done.
and
That's
and I
amazing.
have no expectations that like it's going to be
Yeah,
like that,
yeah,
right? If I with well, it wasn't with products 2 and 3, and with future products, right? Like
yeah, yeah.
I was just so lucky.
So let's talk about now, but just before we talk about kind of the next products, what I want to just ask, so at this point, if anyone's thinking of getting started with Amazon FBA, would you have any advice for them in terms of, going into a launch? Is there any advice you'd kind of give to sellers? I mean,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
from your own experience.
oh yeah, definitely. Like you've got to. I always say you've got to leave no stone unturned, right? So like if you want to create a successful business, ultimately it is your business and it's your
Yeah,
responsibility, right? And if anyone I've kind of communicated with on the Facebook group or other friends that have been interested, I've recommended the course. And the one thing I say is you must have a guide, like a mentor. So get yourself onto a course. And I did a lot of reading around the subject as well. So like, because I think at the time when you'd launched the first version, I had a lot of questions, and you were saying, "Oh yeah, that's to come." Like in,
yeah, yeah,
when I update the program. So I was doing a lot of
yeah,
extra research in and around it. And I think I've learned that just from running another business.
Yeah,
That like
100%.
number one, you are responsible, you're accountable, you can't point the finger at anybody else. Make sure you do your due diligence, right? So don't just rely on the information you've got, like ask questions,
Yeah,
in a sense, like trust no one, even though
yeah,
you've got a course that I fully endorse and recommend. But if you've got questions, you should be asking them. You should be
yeah,
doing your own research around it. You've got to have that concept of delayed gratification and know that like this is a long term thing. And 100% don't spend more than you can afford to lose,
yeah,
right? It's still a bit of a gamble with any business, so like make sure whatever you invest, you're not overstretching yourself. And if it means you've got to take it a bit slower, then that's fine.
yeah.
Like do that. I was really lucky. I had that massive cash injection with the paint sales. If I didn't, my first order would have been a lot smaller. And I would still say that there is still so much opportunity on Amazon. There's a lot of talk about, I think it was this first quarter, Amazon had reported a drop in sales globally. But there's just such a great vast opportunity, people's buying habits. So working in pharmacy, I've been in retail for over 15 years, right? And I've seen how pharmacy has changed and they're
Yeah,
developing an online presence, right? So I kind of know what people's habits and what people are tending to do.
100%.
Youngsters
You can see both
are
sides.
just,
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
yeah, yeah. And the younger generation aren't so interested. They want things, at the click of a
Yeah.
finger. Amazon offers that, so
And I think
there's
that's
still
what's
opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's what Amazon's changed when people get really used to using a service where they can just press a button and something arrives the same day or the next day, and they start to
Yeah,
expect that in all areas of life. And, in everything they buy online, everyone has to try and then, compete with those expectations now. So, yeah, 100%. Okay, so let's talk about your next products then. So, your first product's launched, it's selling well, you're back in stock. How long later before you then launch kind of subsequent products?
yep. So second shipment came in. Was under the assumption that I'm going to have to spend more time and money, kind of supporting that product, the same product. Sorry, kind of maintaining its ranking
Mm-hmm.
and sales. Like I said, it just did exactly the same what it did in December. Took a little bit longer, so that was when I decided, well, I don't need to pay as much attention to this product, and I have the revenue now to try and develop the niche more. So we then started looking at how we might kind of create variations and different variations of the same product because other competitors kind
Yeah.
of were doing that already. So my focus then was more towards brand registry, getting the trademark listing up, um, getting some samples made of some new products, and then kind of choosing the two products I was going to go with, and really developing sort of my store
Yeah.
on
Kind of really
Amazon.
solidifying your brand. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was late 2021,
Okay.
just after the summer, when products 2 and 3 arrived.
Okay. So maybe like kind of 6 to 8 months later, something like that.
From the
From the
initial
launch.
launch,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, it
Okay. Awesome.
was. There was also, if you remember, this company, Rexel, that had got in touch
I
saying
remember
like they
this.
were
Yeah.
really interested in my brand. So that was a motivation also to develop the product range and try and get more sales revenue
Yeah, yeah. So anyone who
generated.
watching this that doesn't know about this, you got approached by a company that said, "Hey, look, we really like the idea of your brand. We'd love to chat to you about potentially buying the brand,"
Yes,
which is
yeah,
just which is incredible as well.
couldn't believe it. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, was that when you were just selling the one product as well? Or was this when you'd launched
It
the other
was
two?
it was the first product. The second and third were in process.
Yeah,
And this company, I remember asking you, like saying, "What do you think of
yeah,
this?"
that's incredible.
And you just said, "Well, have the chat and see what
Yeah.
happens." So
You know what? To
so
me,
they
that
were.
shows is that it just shows that they see potential in the brand to grow it,
That's
and
exactly what they said. Yeah,
that
that.
shows you're completely on the right track. Yeah.
So it was interesting because what they wanted. Our projection at that time was about £110,000 worth of sales a year. And what they said is they were interested in brands which were doing 500K a year plus. Um, but the good thing was it really gave me something to work
Yeah,
towards.
100%.
I quickly thought, well, started looking into the other marketplaces. Unfortunately, Brexit did affect me because when product one was launched, I was selling in Europe at
Oh,
the
well, you
time.
okay? Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
2020,
just
like
gets that
late
just got
2020.
completely just shut
That's
off
it. I
completely.
was
Yeah.
January 2021. That all stopped, and again, I was thinking, oh, like what's going to happen now? But things were still going well. So there is that option now, even now, of kind of looking at other marketplaces. But I was more focused on developing the brand and the product range within the
Yeah.
brand and sticking to the UK.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
something that I could work towards, and I've even heard of other people selling their FBA businesses,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
Definitely.
what they do is they start again.
Yeah.
Like they
100%.
start another product. Yeah,
Yeah.
but what they've
Yeah.
got now is a huge cash flow, right? They haven't got a cash flow problem, and they've got
Yeah.
a big cash injection.
100%. I think it also comes down to what you enjoy doing. Do you enjoy just running the business, or do you enjoy, if you're someone who really enjoys that creativity and that kind of startup process, then you
Yeah.
get to keep doing that by selling the business and having that cash injection. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Okay.
undecided, I guess. At the moment, my focus is to re-engage with the business,
Okay.
and kind of, give it some more time that's needed.
Yeah, totally, totally. So then, let's just step back a sec. So you've got three products selling at this point, and then
Hmm.
in under 12 months after you actually launched, you hit that 100K mark, which is incredible.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you remember at the time how that felt? Was that something for you? Was that like a milestone that you cared about? Was that an important milestone to you, or?
Um, it became something I cared about when I realized that I wasn't far off.
Yeah.
So I think it was October 2021 where I realized, oh my gosh, I've got to become VAT registered now.
Mm-mm.
We're nearly at the threshold, 85 K, and it was at that point I thought, whoa, like, so we're in October now. 2 months time, it will be 12 months, and I wonder if I can hit that 100K
Yeah.
threshold. It was looking likely because we were going into that busy season.
Yeah. It's amazing that you did it
November.
within 12 months as well. It's an incredible achievement.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Very proud of that. I remember sending you a message to say like, I want my 100K
Yeah.
trophy,
Yeah.
and you were like saying, "Oh, I ain't even got them ready yet. Like, I wasn't expecting this."
Yeah, it's amazing, amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so at that point, well, let's come back to now. So at now, how's the kind of business doing now? Are you so
Mhm.
what kind of revenue are you doing monthly now? I think have things slowed
Right.
down, or they because you say you've been focusing on the business less. Have you noticed things
Hmm.
slow down a bit, or things managed
Yeah,
to stay
yeah.
the same, or?
Two things have happened. So I'm focusing less on the business, and there has been a lot of competition
Yeah, yeah,
build up in the last 6 months. So it's odds law that while I've while I've had to come away from the
yeah,
business in that period, lots of sellers have cropped up, and some of them are doing a good job as well.
yeah, yeah,
So sales have dropped. What's helped is having products two and three to support the brand. So overall, there are sales coming in from the three products. It's a time, like I said, where I've recognized that I need to re-engage with the business, and I need to now think where we're going to go from here. Right? Do I think about developing the brand more, or do I think about new products? So I think in any business you see this happen. I've seen it happen with just the development work I do, and with like the rental side of things. There's always people trying to jump on the bandwagon, and that's natural. That's
yeah.
normal. As a business, you've got to be prepared to be able to deal and firefight against these things, and also then look for where other people aren't going. How can you stay ahead of the
Yeah,
game?
yeah, 100%. So, I mean, yeah, I totally agree. I think with what I've noticed working with my own products and with other clients is that often products have life cycles, and especially like with individual products that you sell, things sometimes, the sales kind of rise really high and you're doing really well, and then more competitors come to the scene, and things might drop. You may be able to maintain that, but things kind of go up and down. Some competitors get knocked out of the market, and then things might go back up, and then also demand increases and decreases over time. So products do
Yeah,
have a bit
yeah.
of a life cycle, 100%. talking about the future, I mean, have you really thought much about where you want to take things, or is it kind of something that you just haven't really thought about that
Um,
much yet?
yeah, I certainly, I've seen the advantages. I've seen the opportunities, right? I'd be crazy if I didn't continue with this. So the question right now is, do I start looking at another product? The immediate focus needs to be on the current brand
Yeah,
because I've let go of the reins a little bit, and that's just due to circumstance. So I need to re-engage, get the brand performing again how I want it, or if I can, as best as possible. We are coming up to now. It's like August, so we're coming up to Q4, which means I've got to be prepared for that peak season. I am expecting we'll do good sales through that period. So I think for the next up until the end of the year, it's staying focused on the current
yeah.
brand, and then maybe at the same time starting doing some product research, maybe in a new niche or staying in the
Yeah.
same niche but different products.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the thing I guess you've got your trademark, you've got your whole brand established, focusing on the brand and maybe launching products and within the same brand is going to be much easier, a lot less work involved than creating a whole new
Yes,
brand.
yes,
So for
that's
sure,
right. Yeah, and the thing is, I do see opportunities within the
yeah,
niche. So it would be a shame to well, I don't know if it would be a shame, but it would be just different, right? If I
yeah,
went for a totally different product,
100%.
I
Yeah,
know the work that's involved, then get that product to
yeah,
to where this one is. So I'd be more, I guess I'm more inclined to explore options within this niche right
yeah,
now.
100%. Cool.
Yeah.
And then in terms,
Having said that, I just checked and we're £1,000 away from 200K now.
oh, amazing! I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
have
So
some new awards.
yeah, yeah, like, and
Congrats,
that's
congrats.
under 2 years, right? Yeah, so December 22 would be 2 years.
So have you
Uh,
managed to maintain a similar profit margin over those years, or has the competition kind of impacted that a little
Profit
bit?
margin has dropped. Yeah, we're under 30% now,
Yeah,
and sales velocity has dropped about 10 to 20%.
yeah,
So it's like you said, it was a not a common launch, and it wasn't it wasn't even
yeah,
the revenue I was generating when we launched was nowhere near my
yeah,
expectations. It was way above. We're
yeah,
kind of more near now where
yeah,
I thought we'd be.
yeah,
So
100%. And even
it's
because you're not running much PPC at the moment, the fact your
yeah.
profit margins are still really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're about 25% on
yeah,
product one,
which is
and
really
just
nice.
below that, which is I think I did looked earlier, it's just over 20% on two
Yeah,
and three.
yeah, it's a
Um,
really good place to be.
it's okay. I'm
Yeah,
happy, but I can see that there's things I can do
yeah,
to help and really get sales up at least.
100%.
Even if even if I can't tweak the price of the units, I can definitely do stuff to get the sales through.
Well, yeah, good luck on that journey of growing it, and I'm here to support you. So
Great,
I'm looking
thank you.
forward to you diving back in. So
Yeah, yeah.
let's kind of end the interview then just by I want to just ask you two questions. So, firstly, what do you think has kind of been your high point and also your low point over this journey? So from kind of starting to the point where you're just about to hit 200 grand, which is amazing. Yeah, what do you think your kind of high and low points have been?
The high point, without a doubt, was that first month,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
I can
Like,
imagine.
because yeah, I guess this was a model which was very new to me, right? FBA, or even though I had done the paint sales online. Before that, I'd always done like little bits of eBay selling,
Yeah,
which is why I went to eBay first.
yeah,
But going through FBA, recognizing and realizing the potential, that like opened up so many doors for me, and also then applying the knowledge I have of the retail sector and
yeah,
how people's buying habits have changed,
100%.
was kind of proof to me that, my gosh, this is a fantastic business to be
Yeah,
involved in. E-commerce is can, as I've said, like, give you so much freedom, right? I've spent 6 months just kind of keeping an eye on it, 10, 15 minutes a
yeah,
day. And then like being, so we had family visiting in June. So my wife's family came over to visit. We spent 2 weeks with them, and then we've gone back to Canada with them and spent another 2 weeks. So I've more or less had a month off.
and the sales is just still coming
And you
in
can
every
do
single
that,
day.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can do that. So that is the high point. that this can be so passive in a way. It's sustainable, and if anything, it can grow.
Yeah,
Still
amazing.
really excited about the opportunities. The low point has been a bit difficult to kind of digest, is knowing that the product may not be up there forever.
Yeah, yeah,
Although my expectations were, I always thought my first product wouldn't be the best product. It just happened to do really well, right?
yeah, yeah,
But knowing that, okay, it's not up there, it's not going to be like that forever, and then thinking that, okay, I've got to think now, which way am I going to go? What am I going to do to keep the business alive? Is it going to be another product or another niche?
yeah,
That was being hard to digest. The worst thing is running out of stock.
yeah,
That really hurt. It really, really hurt. It was so great how it happened, but I've made sure since then that we do not run out of
yeah.
stock.
Yeah, I can totally imagine because it's selling so well, and you know that you've just missed out on. Well, I'm assuming how it felt.
Six
You just missed
weeks,
out.
right?
Yeah,
Which could have been another 20, 30
yeah,
grand of
yeah,
sales.
yeah. 100%. No, I totally understand that. Cool. Well, yeah. Well, like I said, I'm excited for you to kind of jump back into it, and I'm excited to kind of dive back into kind of helping you on that journey. So that's going to be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Looking
Let's
forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. So let's just kind of just end the interview with the final question. If someone was thinking of getting started, I think you've kind of mentioned this with your high point, but if someone was thinking of getting started with Amazon FBA now, is it something that you'd recommend them do? And yeah, do you think it's still a good
Yeah.
business model to get involved in?
100% recommended. I would do it the way I did it. Like, kept my day job going, had
Yeah,
other things in the pipeline. And if you're unemployed, that's different. But if you've got something that can still pay the bills and make ends meet, I'd recommend keeping that going and starting this up and really having a long-term view, making sure you really do your research, due diligence, ask questions, use the community that we've got to help you, because there's always people that are answering questions,
yeah,
and sometimes just you need that motivation, right?
100%.
So making sure you've got a good network is really important. I would totally recommend it because I really think there is a massive future in e-commerce. Amazon is still a massive market shareholder.
Yeah.
In fact, I was just on a call yesterday from somebody from the multi-channel fulfillment team wanted to get in
Oh,
touch.
yeah.
And they were saying that, like, Amazon can support you if you go onto Shopify and Etsy and eBay, which I knew about already. But it's just to say, like, look, you can be selling on multiple platforms, and Amazon can do all
Yeah.
of the shipping
Yeah.
side of it for
100%.
you. So the great thing is Amazon's always trying to keep up to date and ahead of the
Yeah,
game as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's like you said, there's so many growth opportunities out there. Even if you didn't launch new products, that's maybe even something that you could explore. So
That's another way I could
yeah,
go,
yeah,
right? Or I could
yeah,
go into another marketplace,
yeah,
the
100%.
US, because the
Yeah,
US is a bit easier than Europe right now.
yeah, 100%. Awesome. Okay. Well, look, I really appreciate you giving me your time. I've actually loved that because obviously we've spoken
Oh,
loads over email and here and there, but it's actually good to actually get on a call with you and
yeah, it's
just
been a
learn about the
while,
whole
right?
process.
Okay.
Yeah, I've
We've
really
all been
enjoyed
so
that.
busy.
Yeah,
We've all
yeah,
been so busy. It's great to reconnect again.
yeah, 100%.
And to everybody out there, just keep going, keep motivated. Sometimes it's a case of just taking baby steps when things are hard and you might be busy doing other things. But just keep taking those steps is really important.
Perfect. That's really good advice. Well, look, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate that, and I've really enjoyed the call.
Awesome. Thank you,
Okay,
Luca.
and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye bye.
All right. Cheers, Naminjit. See you later. Thanks a lot.